All right, here we go, boys and girls. Welcome
Let's do
back
it.
to Taze Kruu, the Secret Pokemon Society. Today I have Angel with MotoSoto Collectibles in Wichita, Kansas, and I
Yes,
got
sir.
Mark Kelley with iKards
iKards USA, yes, yes.
USA in Denver, Colorado.
That's right.
I'm just north of Denver. I got nothing today, boys. What's new? I got.
You got nothing.
I'm
You
just
just went
like,
to a show.
dude. I know. I got stuff to talk about. I definitely got
Sure.
stuff to talk about, but I'm just going with the flow today because I'm kind of overwhelmed by life in general right now. So
Okay.
I just want to BS with you guys because I love you guys, but
There you
I
go.
got no
I'm
serious
down.
questions today.
All right.
He
Um,
says no
Okay.
serious questions. No serious questions.
I know Mark's got big news. He's throwing his own show in Denver.
That's right. Go ahead, pitch that, Mark. I saw the
Yeah,
YouTube video.
so my shameless plug. So July 26th, at the Doubletree in Aurora at 13696 East Iliff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doors open at 9 a.m. I got tables for vendors still available. But yeah, so I used to throw shows. I used to throw like 4 or 5 a year for about 2 years consistently. Um, and then I took 2 years off just because life happens and I didn't know what direction I wanted to go. And
Mm-hmm.
but everybody was like, "Hey, throw shows again, throw shows again." So here I am, July 26th. Be back in the
Nice.
mix.
Heck yeah,
Very nice.
buddy.
Very nice.
And he's charging $100 a table, so super reasonable.
That's
Right.
nice.
Well,
Yeah.
look, to be fair, because I did hear your rant on one of your posts.
Yeah. I went way out in left field this week. I put out like 5 YouTube videos and I got a lot of hate.
Wow.
But look,
I got a lot of hate.
okay, so let's talk about
Yeah.
that because all of us go to shows, right?
Correct.
Those local shows, we've gone to shows. I'm sure we've all gone out of state,
Yep.
wherever. I mean, um, so John's show, Denver Card Shows, I mean, it's the biggest show in Colorado.
Yeah.
It's not even up for debate. He's having 275 to 300 tables. So,
Okay.
and he's doing it every other month,
Okay.
and he's selling out, and he has a wait list. So,
Wow.
I mean, the
Very
demand for him
nice.
At
is
300 a table, there's a wait list.
yeah,
What?
exactly. Yeah, that's what's
300 a
crazy.
table.
Yeah.
300. Look,
Yeah.
300
What?
for a 6 foot table. Not even an 8 foot table. 300 for a 6 foot table.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So,
Wow.
the last time that I participated, before I stepped away, I participated in a lot of Denver card shows. So I've been to a lot of
Right.
them. Um, and I quit when I had quit, there were about 225 a table.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That
And
was
then because I was out, like I said, I was out of the game for a little bit, and I came
that was
back,
less than 6 months ago.
and guys were like $300. So,
Wow.
but here's the thing, though. Everybody that I talked to, um, I mean, they said they did well or did okay,
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Huh.
and I don't know what his expenses are as far as,
I
there's that
think
balance, right? I mean,
yeah. I
for
think
any of us
that's
that
it.
sell at shows, right? There's that balance of, okay, I spend this much, be it gas, lodging, the table, food,
Right. Yeah, of
whatever.
course.
Um, so when is enough enough?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
that's how I feel about it too, is like I'm getting a lot of like I made a video uh
Excellent
directly
video.
after
I,
directly
I, I like this. I made a video.
uh, directly after the show. I always make a
Right.
video after every single show I go to. It's usually less than 24 hours after the show where I go over like my thoughts about what's going on and I show like my Pokemon pickups. And it usually
Right.
gets like 100 views or whatever. For me,
Right.
it's just the fun thing I do to get like the tanglement out of my brain.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? About what's going on because if you don't talk about it and like my wife can only take so much. And so I'm just
Yeah.
like, but no, I got some feedback from some people who left me some nasty comments about, one of the comments I had made in my video was like the same kids are like constantly trying to do trade ups and interrupting you when you're trying to do deals with other people.
Right.
And I got flack for that one because you're talking about somebody else's kids, and I'm just like, well, when they're interrupting your business and you're paying $300 for your table,
Right.
you
Right.
have some say about what's going on, right?
No, look,
Yeah,
that isn't the trade up challenge because that's been around for
Oh
quite a
yeah, for a minute. Yeah.
yeah. So that is super annoying.
yeah,
Like,
it's
um,
obnoxious.
it got to the point, I think I said this, I used to keep a little stack of like some base cards. You're opening packs, inevitably you're going to get a lot of base and you're probably going to get a lot of redundancy, right?
Yeah,
Of
Of
some
course.
guy that's not worth nothing, right? So what I started doing before, I would just tell the kids, oh, not, we're not doing that today, or no, or I'm not, whatever. But after a while, there's just so many of them, and they
yeah,
just like keep coming
Mm.
by. So the easy way is I just take those base cards,
yeah.
but I'm like, here you go, keep your card, boom, here's a
There's
card.
this there's this
Yeah.
one really famous YouTuber that got cooked this week because he went to a major card show.
Hmm.
And he has like over 1 million subscribers, this guy. So his
Mm.
name's
Okay.
Leonhardt or whatever.
Hmm.
He goes
Okay.
up to this guy at a card show and he's trying to do a trade up challenge. And he has like a PSA 10 EV illustration rare.
Hmm.
And the guy offered him like this super rare Japanese card that was worth more than that card just because he liked the guy. And he like declines that and like walks over to the other end of the table and starts asking him if he could have
Ooh.
these old packs and stuff instead.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, well, it's one thing when you're asking to do a trade up challenge and you offer them something. It's another thing when they decline what you're offering them and then they ask you, well, what about this and this and this?
Right.
And that's why I decline all of them. It's
Mm.
because it always turns into this bullshit where they're not
Yeah, just back and
satisfied with
forth.
what you're
Right.
getting, right? And that takes up my time from being able to even
100%.
I don't have anything else I want to say about it. I'm just so frustrated with the. I made
So
another video that's coming out on like Monday.
holy smoke. Hey,
He said,
look,
another
get it off
video
your
I
chest.
made.
Get it off your chest. Well, how so usually in my experience, and again, like I know we're a little different because you do Pokemon and TCG
Mhm.
and I'm 99% sports. But
Yeah.
when I get the trade up challenge guys, they're usually kids. Like I don't
Right.
usually get. I mean, I think there's one time where it was this chick and she was like in her 20s, and I just looked at her and just kind of laughed. I'm like, are you serious? Like,
I get the guys with the beards, man.
really?
That's I make
For
like
the trade
crusty
up
com
challenge?
yeah, I make crusty comments to my wife. I'm like, that dude had a beard and he was trying to do a trade up challenge.
No, no, that's different, dude.
Yeah,
No, that's totally different. I haven't had somebody come to me for a trade up challenge. I mean, not a grown man. Like they're usually kids, man. I mean, for me, my experience, average is like 12 years old. Give
Right.
or take a couple years in either direction.
yeah. For
That's a
me,
whole
it goes too.
Personally, yeah, for me
experience.
personally, I've had a couple on each end. Usually they are kids. I've had a
Right.
couple of young adults, let's just put them that way, right? Like in their 20s, maybe as old as like maybe 30, you know.
30?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, at the last thing. But
it's
I mean,
crazy, dude.
it
It's
is what it
crazy.
is. But they'll ask, hey, you want to do the trade up? And I'm like, nah, I'm good, and I just keep it moving, you know
Yeah.
because I a
Yeah.
lot of the times, I know Roger has a ton of great singles that he sells, and depending on which type of show I'm going to, sometimes I don't put out all the slabs. I don't bring a ton of singles. A lot of times it's just a lot of sealed product that I'll have and that I'm selling because I know that's what's doing a decent turnover right now because
Right.
people are just having difficulty getting certain product, and so am I. I just get lucky sometimes.
Yeah.
And, I try to pick up as much as I can within reason. I'm not one of these dudes that's going to sit there at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for a store to open.
It's not
I'm
happening.
not gonna I'm not gonna wait in Target for 3 hours
Right.
for the vendor to show up and like restock so I can get no. If I just happen to be walking through a store, there's something available, I'll buy it and keep
Mhm.
it moving. That's it. It's as simple as
Yeah.
that, you know. But yeah, I try to stay away from all that trade up challenge,
Yeah.
everything like that. I'm just like, nah, I'm not doing that, and I just keep it moving, man.
How do you guys feel about okay, so what kind of annoys me is, you get these guys, of course, at every show, there's a whole bunch of guys that are always carrying their cases, right? Which is
Of
fine.
course.
And they'll say, do you want to trade? So it's not really a trade up challenge per se.
Right.
They want to trade, and they'll have their Zion case or whatever filled with
Yeah.
like 40 slabs. Or I got some, it's got some stuff for you to look at. I mean, sometimes
Hmm.
I'm carrying like a shoebox and shit. It's like, what are you doing? But which I don't mind.
Yeah, I
Sometimes,
saw a couple of cats like that. They had a
yeah, I'm
shoebox, and
just
I'm
like, what are you
like,
doing? You got
man,
like
is that how
you'll
you
have
treat your
slabs for like
cards?
4 grand in the shoebox. I'm like, just spring for the case, bro. Like, what
I
are you doing?
know. Yeah.
But what bothers me about that is what they'll do is they'll put their case on your case, right? So now
Hmm.
people walking by can't even look at your product,
Very
and then
true.
they're so bent on trying to trade that people are walking by and they're like trying to show you all these slabs. And I'm like, but that guy right there has cash. I want to talk to him. That's an
Yeah.
actual customer. You're going to
Yeah.
every dealer, putting your shoebox on my case
Yeah. Yeah.
because you want to
100%.
show me 3 slabs of Gronkowski or some shit. Like it's like, what are
Good
you
old
doing,
Gronk.
dude? Like read the room. I'm like, nah, we're good, bro. But
Yeah.
that I get a lot of, and I don't know if that's more of a sports thing or a TCG
No,
thing. That's
I think it's
annoying.
I think
It's
for me
both.
personally, it's both. It's both.
Okay,
100%. Just like Roger's saying, it's definitely both. I get that all the time. People wanting to trade. What I can't, what I don't like, let's just put it that way, is when someone's like, "Yo, I'll trade you this card that can go up or down in value, right?
right,
XYZ card for your sealed product." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
right,
you have a
yeah,
certain dollar figure that you've paid a cost basis,
mhm,
and they're always trying to like, oh, I'll give you this card, it's worth $100. Let me get,
Yeah.
a
yeah,
booster box. And I'm all like, what are you, what, where are you
Yeah.
from, bro? Like,
yeah.
I
who does
just
that? You
I
know what I'm
just made
saying?
a rant video about this. I just literally
Another video.
literally I spit
Loving
out
it,
like
man. Loving
this
it.
one is like dedicated to the crap sellers try to pull on vendors.
Mm.
And one of the
Mhm.
biggest ones is they come around with the biggest new hit, the bit from the newest set when it's
Right.
Yeah.
literally 4 times what it should be.
Yeah.
And they're trying
Mhm.
to get rid of it to offload it for more sealed product or your
Yeah.
best slab or whatever it is.
Right.
And
Hmm.
I'm just like, you can't be serious. That card's going to be worth a quarter of what you're asking in
Right.
literally 2 months.
Yeah.
You know what started that? I think what really caused a lot of that is COVID. Because
Well, yeah.
during COVID, if you remember, there was a when COVID was there where everybody was like at home
Yeah.
and everybody was getting like stimulus checks. Um, everybody was just watching breaks, right?
Yeah.
And that was like when that was
I
like
forgot
when
about
college
that.
was
There was a
really
lot
open.
of
Like
breaks.
you could get a Joe Burrow or like there's all that about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert and all those
Hmm.
guys came on that
Right.
time about 3 years ago, maybe four
Yeah.
tops. And I mean, you could just pull, I mean, for raw basic cards or raw
Yeah.
silvers were just like we're moving for high amounts. And it was just
Yeah.
crazy. And so you got a lot of people that weren't really collectors, I don't think. Um,
Yeah.
collectors of
Yeah.
anything, not just cards. Like they were just opportunists.
Hmm.
They came
Yeah.
in
No,
to get
I agree
something.
with you. I agree with you. The pandemic did change a lot of dynamics on how the whole entire collectibles industry as a whole
Yeah,
was viewed and everything like that. It definitely promoted it so much more because you're right.
right.
You're at home, you're getting all these stimulus checks, you ain't got nothing to do, you can't go shopping. So what do? You turn to online, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden it becomes, well, I got this stimulus check for 5 grand. Let's go ahead and spend this money. Like who cares? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you're just buying things and you're kind of feeding into the hype. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Every
yeah, I
time
mean,
someone buys one of those cards, it raises the price for the next guy.
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, that becomes, and somebody that's maybe not really seasoned in the game,
Hmm.
that becomes to them their norm. So to
That's
them,
true.
they're like, oh, this $15 card, I should be able to get $75 for this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like that's not really, especially for especially in like sports. Like I'm not 100% sure how it works with Pokemon and stuff, but like with sports, like you can't really do that, especially with modern. Vintage is a different
Hmm.
story because vintage is pretty much going to be what it is. Barry Sanders
Right.
cards are going to be what Barry Sanders cards are.
Yeah.
Right.
But like all those quarterbacks that I said, like T Law, Jalen,
Hmm.
that whole class that came out, like Mac Jones and T Law were like a big bust. People were just trying to sell those cards for hundreds of dollars. And now
one
We're
of
all these Mac Jones cards.
one of the thing
Right.
that cracks me up is how influencers have such a wide range of pull on Pokemon
Yeah.
sellers and Pokemon buyers because it's crazy how one influencer with like 1 million subscribers talks about some card he's holding in his hand for 5 seconds while he's sneezing, and
Yeah.
the next weekend, every single vendor at the show has three of those cards in his case, and they're all 20-30% more than they should be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. It's
So how
all,
they
you know,
sell
it's,
them though? Were
Was
they
that
sell?
so? I imagine some of them are. They wouldn't be
Yeah.
putting them in there. It's like
yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of funny to me, man. I think we all there's this phrase I like to use right now. It's like we're all living in a giant bubble of denial when it comes to Pokemon cards. And and some people it's their own bubble of denial, and
Mhm.
other people it's like this huge wide influence of all the intake they take in of like
Hmm.
YouTube and social media and all
Yeah.
this stuff. And
Right.
it's like they burst their own bubble because they watch so much of this stuff. They go out and spend this money they shouldn't even spend on like product that's not even that good.
Right.
And then they can't get their money back out of it. And then
Yeah.
everybody that doesn't want to buy their crap is a scalper.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
like that's the biggest term right now that bugs me also is like
Scalper?
anytime anybody doesn't agree with the least little thing, oh, that guy's a scalper, It's like, come on,
Huh.
guys. Like,
I haven't heard that one either. That's but but that's the gamble with any of the stuff that like we probably all should be buying singles, right? And a lot of guys do that. I actually do like to get into breaks. I haven't done it in a while.
Mhm.
And I like to buy sealed product. Like I like buying packs. I like buying blasters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, just because it's the chase, right?
It is.
You're
It
seeking,
is.
and that's
Yeah.
part of it. But again, you got to know when to stop. Like
yeah,
I think, like I said, with COVID, I think it started to become like a get rich quick type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Especially with all the free money that was around from the
Right.
stimulus checks. I mean, you just everybody was collecting and not really having to work and do anything. So
Right.
it just fueled it in a not so great way. And these are
Mhm.
all the after effects that we're getting from it.
yeah.
Right.
Another thing,
It's a different generation right now too.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, um, like a lot of the Pokemon guys that I see are like 35 and younger,
hmm
right? Not all of them, but a lot of them. Because even for
hmm
the show, like a lot of the guys that have come in already bought tables, they're in that range. They're like that 25, 35 range.
hmm
But a lot of my sports guys, not all of them, but at more than half are like 40 and up.
Yeah, yeah, I do notice that too.
So there's a different way of thinking about how we look at it and how we think about it. And
Mm.
I think Roger, you're showing your age with your frustration.
oh yeah, it's true, bro. No, you're 100% right because um the industry 20 years ago had more common sense. And
Agreed.
now we got all these big box stores getting pallets and pallets of Pokemon and all this other stuff. And
Right.
brick and mortar stores who actually teach people how to play the game can't get any.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the only ones to blame are Pokemon and the distributors. And these guys that go to Walmart at 4 o'clock in the morning, like we're not willing to do. The only reason they're doing it is because they're allowed to play the game that way.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like there's a law that says this guy can't go to Walmart at 6 a.m. and buy all the packs unless Walmart's the one that limits them to it.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
And
100%.
and almost every store I go to nowadays sells some kind of Pokemon product. So
Mhm.
it's not like there's a huge scarcity. Like there might be a scarcity for like 1 month after release, but you
Mm.
could go to TCG, you could go to eBay, you could go to Walmart, you go to Barnes and Noble, you can go to almost any gas station, you can go to
Yeah.
King Supers, like vending machines. There's no limit to how much Pokemon you can find out there. You just got to go find it, right?
Yeah.
I
But
mean, it's supply and demand. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah,
there's no balance into those big. those big companies, like you said, those box stores, the Walmarts, your Targets, whatever, um, they don't they don't care about anything but the bottom line.
No,
And
they
True.
you know
the
what I mean?
reason
They're
the reason
buying
why they're in it is to get the people in the store so they buy other stuff, not just Pokemon.
Oh
It's
yeah,
also
like,
right, right,
100%.
yeah,
right.
Now
So
I know here locally in Wichita,
mhm,
um, 95% of any place that sells any type of TCG product, whether it be Pokemon, One Piece, whatever, they're limiting what you can buy. So, like, specifically, like I just walked into a local Target over here, and there's a big sign that says, even for sports cards, you are limited to 2 items
wow.
on this whole entire wall.
yeah,
And even though all the Pokemon is gone, all of the One Piece is gone, and there's literally, hundreds of boxes of sports cards of all the, everything, from WWE to freaking, football, baseball, hockey, everything is out there from, last year to 2025, 2024, everything.
yeah,
And they're still limiting to two, and
Mhm.
that's it. That's all you could buy. Walmart does the same thing. Different Targets do the same. Barnes and Nobles, it's 4 products, 4 items, and that's it.
Right.
And so I mean, here locally for me, that is an issue that everybody's seeing, and how these scalpers are getting it, I have no idea. I've noticed, um, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, that there are certain sets of people that will come in groups, and then
mhm,
Right.
everybody buy their allotted amounts. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's the way they're getting around it per se. But I know is when I go by myself, they're like, hey, yeah, you can have 4 products. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I buy my 4 products and go on my merry way, and just
yeah.
keep it moving.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed is that if you spend enough time on like Instagram or
Mm-hmm.
the social media platforms, you can find people that will contact you and say, "Hey, we got a brick and mortar in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and we do distribution, and here's our list of the things that we can get. All you
Hmm.
have to do is pay us $15 a month membership, and you can get on here."
Really?
And you can get these
Oh,
products and you can just be like, they already have the percentages worked out and stuff, and then you have to pay them through PayPal or friend and family, so they don't have to pay taxes on it.
Huh.
But
well,
Interesting.
it's very strange, because
Yeah.
the first time they contacted me, I thought it was like a scam because
right.
there's like a membership involved.
Hmm.
So no
It
Mm-hmm.
matter
kind of
what,
sounds like a scam.
yeah, but no matter what, if you order something or not that month, they're still getting their $15.
Right.
But and
Huh.
Huh.
but what that does is it shows to their distributor, because I was thinking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It shows to their particular distributor that they're ordering through that they have this amount of intake that they need, and it's way
Right.
above what a normal TCG store would need. So
Yeah.
they allow them to have a
Hmm.
bigger, intake of,
Supply. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
supply. Right.
Hmm.
That was my thoughts on it, anyways.
Hmm.
Hmm. I mean, the whole industry, the whole collectibles industry is kind of a hustle because, I mean, this piece of cardboard, I mean, because that's really what, this cardboard, uh,
Cardboard for paper.
yeah, right, cardboard for paper. But who really determines the value is like the supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
We like to attribute a lot of things to it as far as like, okay, for instance, when you submit the PSA, okay, are the edges, the surface, the corner, blah
Don't
blah blah,
get me started.
centering. But at the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
still just
Roger got another video on PSA. Hold on.
I do. It's coming. It
it's still
came
just
out
a
like
card though.
yesterday.
It's still just a card. You know what I mean?
Right,
And so
right.
it's not like it's a precious metal. It's not like it's gold. It's not platinum. They're not diamonds.
And even with
You
that
know,
being said, even if we're changing the commodity type, something, is worth something if someone else is willing to pay for it. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? That's
right,
the bottom line here. If you've
right,
got a card that's $100 and guy A doesn't want to pay for it, maybe guy B doesn't want to pay for it, but by the time you get to guy C, he may think that it's valuable enough to purchase
Yep,
at that price, you know.
exactly. Yep.
So it's all a gamble. Just like you said, Mark, it's a hustle. The whole entire industry is a hustle, one way or another, the way you're looking at it. You know, if you get a card, especially back from PSA, right? And all of a sudden it's worth 500 bucks, you
Right.
know, because someone has a sale somewhere, you know, on TCG, on eBay, and it's showing up that it's sold at 500. You know, now you're getting a certain value associated with it, but that card could be, you know, a sale from 6 months ago. You know what I
It's
mean?
selective.
It's very selective. It's
Selective
very selective.
marketing is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Somebody comes up to your table with some Facebook ad they saw 6 months ago from Canada, and they think their $2 Pikachu is worth 50, you know?
Right.
Man, let me tell you, I had a sealed one piece like booster box, right?
Mhm.
Um, and my price was very decent. I know what I paid for it, and I only marked it up 10 bucks, you know what I'm saying? Uh, but yet I had this girl come up and she's like, "Oh, I need that one and that one." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So I pull them off the shelf, I put them in front of her, you know, I ring it up, and then she breaks out her phone and she goes, "Oh, but wait, you know, yours is 120, but on TCG, I can get it for $108." And I just stopped
Hmm.
and very politely I said, "Well, I think you need to buy it from TCG then."
Yeah.
And I put my product without even saying anything else, just put it back up on the shelf
Yeah.
Mhm.
and kept it moving. You
I
know what
do
I'm
the same
saying? And
thing,
then, you know,
man.
she was just like, "Can you match the price?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna match the price because I
Right.
know what I paid for it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would be different if the price that I paid for it was way less
Yeah.
than what it was going for on TCG.
Well, it
And
would
But I
be
that's
happen to
different if you
pay
were
more
Walmart.
than that. Yeah, or yeah, right.
and
And I'm
that's the
like, dude,
yeah.
She's treating you like a store.
I know.
No, she's
Well,
like, let me talk to your manager.
No,
exactly, exactly,
she's
right.
treating you like somebody she doesn't care about. She only cares about her bottom line. What she
Oh, of
doesn't
course.
realize is we got
We have our own bottom
500
line.
in tables, $100 in gas just to get there. We got
Yep.
the overhead for the people that are helping us. We got to eat. We got to
Yep.
feed our family. You know, it's
100%.
like
100%.
even if she bought it from TCG, she's gonna pay shipping,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's gonna
Oh,
wonder
I
when
pull the
it gets.
shipping card all the time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do too.
and,
Well, especially with singles, especially with singles. If
Yeah.
I have a single and all of a sudden, you know, I have the price and I'm always checking TCG market price. I'm checking, you know, everything just to see where I'm at. And I kind of take an average of them. You know what I mean? I look at all the websites and I'm kind of taking an average and I get a good decent price. And I never if I see that the average is like let's say 50 bucks, I
Mhm.
may put the card at like 48, 45. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that I can get interest in it. But you would just not believe the people that will come up and then try to like, well, I can see here that one time it sold for $24. And
Right.
I'm like, all right, that's cool if you want to go ahead and order it from somewhere else and pay the shipping and not know the condition it's in.
exactly.
But my
The
whole thing is
condition.
you're seeing this card right
Right.
here, right now.
Yep.
You're physically holding it in your hand. You don't have to wait. You don't have to worry about it getting bent in shipping,
Yep.
Right.
delayed, lost, or anything else. It's right here, right now. So,
Right.
right here, right now, that's the price. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they'll still
Yeah.
try and they'll be like, well, if I buy two cards, can I get a better? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, I mean, that happens. We know what, so, I'll have a card and the guy,
Mhm.
usually eBay is when I see a lot
Yeah.
say, oh, well, comps are showing it's at, I'm telling it for 50, saying, oh, comps are showing it at 40. And
Yeah.
depending on, what I tell people, sometimes I said, well, let's set a new comp.
Yeah.
Let's set a new. I like that one. I might have to use that. I might have to
Let's
use
set a
that.
new comp.
Let's set a
Come
new
on.
comp.
And that one that went for 40 is no longer available. So,
Very true. Very
you know what I
true.
mean? So because they'll show you the most recent of what that card sold, and you're like, okay,
Right.
but that's gone. Or like I said before, that card sold for 40, but show me what they charge you for shipping, because shipping was probably 15.95. So really that guy paid more than what I'm asking.
Right.
That guy paid 55 bucks and has to wait a week.
Yep.
I'm saying 50. You can take this right now.
100%.
You know,
100% agree with you, man. And I
but
run
that,
into
that's
that
part
all
of
the
the that's
time.
part of the game. I
It
mean,
is.
usually what I'll do, if anything, if I go and buy something, I might ask the guy, "What's the lowest you can sell this for?" Like I just did that at the Denver Card Show. As a matter of fact, I got this actually. I got this slab here of Roger Staubach, right?
Okay.
Um, and I got like another card for my wife, and so together it came to like $40.
Right.
So I said, "What's the best you can do?" Just one time, one question said, "What's the best you can do?" He goes, I can do it for 35." I said, "Fair enough," and I just gave him $35.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Like this, I'm not offended at them asking, like, but when they're really trying to like just over like insult your intelligence
Yeah.
or try
Here's
to
the
argue
thing.
with you, like you said, where they're just saying, "Well, I can get it at such and such for $108." I'm like,
I
look,
don't I don't mind people asking me what's the best you can do. There's
yeah,
one thing in particular though that does bug me is when they know that your price is good and they still ask you what's the best you can
Oh
do.
yeah.
right,
Because I had a star me I got this in a video already. I'm repeating myself. That's fine.
I love
you're
it.
gonna
I
have to
love
change
it.
I
the
got
whole
a
format
Got
of
it in
your
the
show.
video.
The whole format's got to be different.
I know. I got a Starmie V in my case, and Starmie V for weeks was $100. So
Right.
I had one for $92 in my case, and it recently went down a little bit, but this was like months ago. So
Yeah.
I had it for $92 in my case. I just looked it up that morning. It was right at $99.87 or something like that on
Okay.
TCG. So I'm like, oh, I'm market at 92. I just want to move this card because I've had it for a couple of shows now. The guy walks up, asks to see it. He looks at it for like, I'm not joking you when I say maybe 10 minutes. The guy's looking at this card. I was thinking maybe he's going to try and steal it at this point. But
Right.
he's looking at the front, he's looking at the back, finally gets done looking at it, hands it back to me. He's like, what's the best you can do on that? And I was like, well, if you've been looking at these at the show lately today, you're going to know my price is pretty good. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, well, if you know, I didn't say this to him at the time, but in
Right.
Mm-hmm.
my brain, I'm thinking, why are you wasting my time?
Oh yeah. No,
You know what I
100%.
mean?
100%.
I'm not trying to be a
100%.
jerk, but don't try to lowball me on something you already know is a really good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've told, people that have come through and they're like, "Oh, that's your price?" And then they're like, "Yeah." And again, they'll ask, "Hey, is there anything better you could do? What's your best you could do?" And I just look at them and I said, "Hey, listen, brother, you know what I'm saying? As much as I want to work with you, I know I have good prices. Walk around, take a lap and
Yeah,
see, and then you'll be back." And I and
yeah,
I, I'm like, and I'll be here, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll be back, I'll be back." And sure enough,
yeah. Here they come.
9 times out of 10, they'll come back an hour later and they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah." And when something's hot,
Yeah,
and it's just selling, and good price, like the Destined Rivals. I had Destined Rivals ETBs. I had like 10 of them at the beginning of the show. The show opened up at 9 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, they were all gone
yeah.
Mm,
because I had them literally like a couple of dollars above MSRP. I was
Right.
selling them at $65. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I think they were $59, you know what I'm saying, plus tax, which I have to pay.
Yeah,
So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, so it's like it run me like $63. I'm charging you 65. I'm not making, I'm not making a ton of money off of it. I'm
yeah,
just bringing customers back in, and I'll point it out all the time. I'll be like, look at look at all my prices, and I'll start pointing things out, and I'll be like, hey, look, 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 look. I
Right.
was like, go walk around, and you'll be back. And sure enough, 9 times out of 10, bro, they'll be back. But I love it when they take their time coming back, and then they're like, oh, it's all gone. Well, yeah, brother, because you slept on it.
No,
You know what I'm
I've had
saying?
that happen I've had that happen a couple of times
Oh
where
man,
they'll come back and then,
it's
yeah.
gone. You
Mm,
should have bought it when you had the chance. I'm
I
telling you,
hear
it's a
you,
good
man.
price, but
Yeah,
Right.
you didn't want to believe me. You thought I was trying to pull the wool over your eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When I'm there in that same spot, every quarter when they
yeah.
throw this thing, and they've been to me plenty of times.
I'm trying
So,
something different for my next show.
mm,
I got like all my profits. I figured it out, like what my profits is
mm,
from the last show I was to. And normally I'll get online and I'll like try to replenish some stuff.
yeah,
I'm not going to do that at all this time.
Oh,
Like I'm taking all that cash to the show, and I'm just gonna try to make deals with people that are trying to
I
sell
see
me
what you're
stuff
saying.
at the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
show
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
instead of replenish because I feel like there probably is a small percentage better deal if I'm kind of choosy on what I'm buying. I'm probably
Yeah.
going to get a little bit better deal buying at the show than I would trying to replenish it online.
Oh, yeah. I might.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
know
agree
guys who
with
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
But the thing is, now here's just me. Sorry to cut you off, Mark, but this is just
Yeah,
me. Like, so if I'm at a show, you know, there's a lot of times I don't have the time because I'm at the booth making my deals, working, working, working. There's a lot of times I don't have the time to go around and see everything that everybody has to
right.
try to make those deals.
I don't have any
That
time.
becomes, yeah, that's my thing. I just don't have the time to go
Yeah.
ahead and do that.
Well,
Now, if it was something like I could spend an hour just walking around trying to figure some things out, then it might work,
Right.
you know.
no, I'm just talking about the people that come to my table and ask
Oh,
me
you're
if
talking
I'm,
about okay. So when
yeah,
they're coming to go, okay, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say
yeah.
yeah, because otherwise, I don't. I do have people that come to the table and they're always trying to. And I've had a lot coming recently that like, oh, we're trying to get rid of seal product, seal product. But the first thing they do is open up the TCG app and then be like, oh, so the market price is, and I'm like, no, bro,
No,
I'm not paying you market. Then how am I supposed to make my money? You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like they don't understand. Like if I'm giving you cash. I
Yep.
mean, I'm not paying market prices,
Some people
but
are
they're not. They don't hear it, bro. They just don't.
some people are very reasonable and other people are very unreasonable. And
Very true.
Right.
Very
you
true.
And
it's
look,
like
and at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, is if
It
yeah,
somebody's
is.
reasonable. Like I said, I don't mind you asking for a deal or for, whatever, whatever, to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's just how are you going about it? Are you being a jerk? Are you trying to get one over on me type of situation? Like
Right.
that's that's where that's where it'll either rub me the wrong way or not. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Right.
Somebody that's really that I've noticed a lot. There's this one guy that comes around, and he's actually good. Like he'll sit at your table for a while, he'll look at a couple things, and he'll have you pull out like 10 items, right?
hmm
10
Mm-hmm.
slabs or 10 whatever, whatever. You'll tally it up and you kind of work that deal. And then he'll want, a discount of some sort or whatever. I want actually to work more with him as long as he's not trying to gouge me,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Just like, look, if you're buying 8, 9, 10 of my slabs,
Yeah.
100%.
you're trying to ask me to take 10, 12, maybe
Because
15% kind of depending on what it is,
Yeah.
to do that because that allows me to just go ahead and get rid of all that product. I'm still going
yep,
to
Right.
make money right then and there on all
Right.
this stuff so I can go get new stuff.
yep,
Yeah.
I mean, I could make more money if I sold each item individually, but the chances of selling those 10 slabs today is probably not going to
right.
happen. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
I
I'm like, if you want to
actually
buy all of these, that's actually how you do it.
Mm.
yeah, I actually appreciate that quite a bit when people do that because it doesn't feel like they're haggling you for like a small increment. It's
Right.
like, okay, I'm gonna move some stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's liquid for me, but I'm also gonna move these five things that I've probably had for quite a few shows now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna bundle it, and yeah, I'm gonna be more willing to give them a break on that, just
Right.
in general as a
You
vendor.
don't feel nickel and dimed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Very
You
true.
know, guys
Very
will
true.
haggle with you for $3. I'm like, it's $3, bro.
Oh my God.
It's $3, but
yeah.
it's just yeah.
Listen,
So,
listen. So I got a little story, man. I got a little story. We were up in Kansas City at a card show. All right. And I'm vending, of course. And I had this guy walk up, and he's got his little, I don't know, your little man purse, right? Whatever. He's got all his money and shit, and he's got like some nice rings and shit on. He had a big old chain with diamonds. And I'm like, all right, cool, right? And he's like looking at my cards, and man, you just don't expect like certain things that are certain people. And when you come to my booth, you can see my setup. I got my square, I have a cash register, I have like, my barcode scanner, I have a receipt thing because I charge tax and whatever locale I'm at is what I'm doing, right? So everything's just like a store. Like if you walked into Target or Walmart or anything, right? And the kid comes up and, my stuff's all barcoded. He looks at it, looks at the price, and it was a $4 card, right? A $4 card. He opens up his little man purse thing, pulls out a stack of money, right? And I'm all like, okay, and here we go. Right. And he's like, so can I get that card for $3? And I was like, no, it's $4, right? You're gonna pull out a wad of money and ask me for a discount.
Yeah.
Like you're buying, a lot of my stuff. It would have been different, like you said, if he was buying 10 slabs.
I'm not the only one.
A $4 card.
Right.
And he's all like, can I get it for $3? And I'm like, no, it's $4. And he's like, all right, $4. And then the minute I said plus tax, this cat just got up and go, oh no, I can't pay the tax too, and walks away. And I was like, oh my God, bro. But he was counting out his money and everything out of this big one. And I'm just like, bruh, you're just a poser.
Like
Yeah, it's like 40 cents, man. And I was just like, I'm like, I don't, what? Like, I just don't comprehend it sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if I walk into a store, I'm already like expecting, hey, yeah, I gotta pay tax, I gotta pay this, whatever the case is.
This is
But
called
these dudes
vendor
will walk
fatigue,
up,
man.
oh my God, bro.
Because
It just,
the exact same things.
man.
Week one into being a vendor, you don't give a crap about this stuff. But week 10, you're like, all right. And then by month 10, you're like,
yeah,
this mother truck is over 40 cents.
I gotta laugh, man, because
you have to.
I can understand if it was like a kid, right? Like a kid. Like I'm talking about, like, he's like 6, 7, 8 years old.
Right.
He's got his couple of dollars from an allowance.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Those kind of kids I always take care of, right? Like I'm like, oh yeah, and they'll come up and they'll try, like, I like that card. How much is it? I'm like, oh, that's a $2 card, and I'll wind up throwing in a free card, so they get some value out of it, because I want to nurture that type of thing in the community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're an adult and you come up flashing your money at me like you're, I don't know, we're trying to compare, sizes here. I'm just like, bruh. And then you haggle over 40 cents?
Yeah.
Dude, seriously?
Yeah.
I can't do it,
man.
The
trade-up challenge is crazy to me when you said a whole bunch of adults are coming to you. I'm like, adults?
Yeah.
Dude, I got it in my videos all the time. Like, there's some 30, 40-year-old guy coming up with a beard asking me to do a trade-up challenge.
you need to make, because that's true, I've seen your setup, so you do have that camera running all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he does.
You need to make some type of some type of collage or whatever they call it. We're just
compilation of
of like
that would take me a
greatest hits and misses, man, and just do a whole show of just all these guys that are just grown ass men, just all the crazy stuff that happens. Like, make that video.
Oh man, that would take me so long.
I could just see the hate on that, man. I could just see someone watching that video and going, damn it, that's me, and just blowing your spot up.
Man.
Oh yeah. No,
that would be awesome. But I mean, really, how much could you blow somebody up? I mean, you're the one that's 40 asking for the trade-up challenge. Like,
true,
man.
I mean,
it's very true.
You're not making it up. It's like, yeah, this was you, Bobby. This was you.
Yeah, right.
You made the choice, Bobby. You made the choice.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah, I don't know, man. The trade-up challenge, yeah, it's definitely not my thing. Right. So I try to steer away from it as much as possible.
So I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, couldn't make it home at, I believe it was noon. We tried to get some tickets for Pasadena front row.
Oof.
And how'd that go? Like, same thing. You log in, you're on time, you're right there at noon. You click on the button to hit, 2 tickets, blah, blah. By the time you hit 2 tickets, hit pay now, it's sold out.
Oh yeah,
Pops
yeah.
up, sold out. So I don't even know what to make of it. I'm very, I feel blessed that we were able to get into the Vegas one earlier this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so we're kind of locked in on that one. But,
Got you.
doing like any of the other front rows or, the other big ones like Dallas or
Mm-hmm.
Lexicon, I think you kind of have to, at this point, know somebody or know one of the scalpers that's buying all the tables and then
That's something. Yeah, no.
subletting them out.
Yeah,
Hmm.
something.
Is that a thing? That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's a big, big problem, especially
Oh,
with Collecticon, is a lot of these guys are getting like 10 or 20 tables and
Yeah, they rent
subletting
out
them.
a pod. They rent out like the entire pods that they
Yeah,
have. I notice a lot of times. Yeah, that is very
oh
true.
wow.
yeah. And
And then you,
it's against the terms of service for damn sure, but that's not stopping them from doing it.
well, you know what I found interesting. I'm not going to mention the shows or anything, but I was at a show
Yeah,
and there was, and it was recent in the last 6 months, and there was basically what went on, which just what you're describing. So the way they got around that was that when they rented out the entire pod, which was about I think 20 tables all the way around, they put their table covers on all of them, and then it was just different people showing up,
yep,
and you could see the dude paying the other dude that was in charge
yeah,
and then setting
Hmm.
up at the table and then doing their thing, because half the time half the tables were empty. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So I was like, at first
That's
I was like, man, this guy got a lot of employees. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it didn't dawn on me at
Hmm.
first. And then
yeah,
about an hour into the show, after going around a few times, I said, oh, that's not what's going on.
Interesting.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that is
Interesting.
the
one
thing.
that's one thing that doesn't happen at front row that I've noticed.
Oh, that's good. That's
They're
good.
very, very strict. And
Huh.
if you pack up before it's time to go home, you're not
Mm-hmm.
invited to the next show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's crazy because each table, like if the three of us set up at the same show and they put us all in the same row,
Yeah.
Yeah.
each table and vendor kind of has a different look, a different vibe.
Yes,
Yep.
You know,
sir. 100%.
like your cases are probably a little bit different than mine. Your setup is probably a little bit different. Like the quality of the product. Like I always sit up next to my buddy, and he always has vintage football, and his stuff is just top dollar stuff. And
Right.
most of my stuff is modern, and it's like that middle of the road. It's that 40, 50, $60.
Right, right, right.
Whereas his is like that 4, 600. You know what I mean? So for a guy to buy a whole pod, you could tell if it was really him with the whole pod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what I'm
You know
saying.
what I mean?
Yes,
Like it's like
yeah,
these guys all look different. Like the
Yeah.
product
yeah.
looks very,
That's
it's
that's
So
very
true.
exactly
distinct.
what happened.
Yeah.
So true. There was this one guy at front row that I want to try to emulate at some point.
Mm,
But I was talking to him. He had one, two, three, four. He had six tables in like a U shape, two
Okay.
okay.
and two on each side. The one side and the front side was just all singles behind glass, but
Okay.
like the sloped up kinds. And
Yeah.
then on the right side, he had two guys sitting there, and all they did the whole show was just buy product from people coming by.
Oh,
And
that's an
then,
interesting setup. Yeah.
yeah, and then he had, I think it was probably his wife and him that would run the two halves,
Yeah.
Mhm.
selling the singles and stuff. But I
Mm.
was like, man,
That's the setup.
That is.
I don't know how
It's
much
hard
he's
to do the
paying
one
those
man
guys,
show.
but
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, Angel, is it just you, or do you have employees, or do you, or
No, it's the I show up. It's me and my son. So I mean,
okay,
he's gonna be 16. Um, and that gives me a little bit of flexibility. You know what I'm saying? Because
sure,
that a lot of times when you get the younger kids, sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation. They don't want to talk to an older dude. Now I'm even older than Roger. You know what I'm saying? I'm the oldest guy here. You know what I mean?
I don't
Roger's
know
a
how I
baby.
feel
You know what I
about
mean?
that.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times the younger kids don't want to necessarily interact with me in
right,
that sense right off the bat. So my son has, that demographic that he'll cover. You know what I
right,
mean? Like if he sees a young kid come up, I'll just be like, go ahead, do your thing. And he'll start talking about, everything, all these anime and manga. And he just gets in their head like that because he can relate to them.
Right.
When they start asking me questions about, oh, did you see episode, 300 of something, something? I'm like, bro, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
got One Piece behind me. Is that what you're talking about? Or I like it when they tell me the character and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Right.
there's so many Pokemon that I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know them all. You know what
Yeah.
I
It's
mean? And they're
crazy.
like, that's the Pokemon right there. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
It's
You know what I
pretty
mean? Like,
rare that happens to me, but it does still happen to me. There's
oh
like
man,
a
it happens
couple
to
that
me
I'm
all
just
the
like,
time.
yeah.
All the time. They're all like, I'm looking for, and I'm like, huh? And I'm
Let me
like, all
Google
right,
that real quick. Let me
yeah,
Google.
exactly. Let me look this up and see exactly what this looks like.
Oh,
Right.
man.
So,
So
maybe one day.
I had a unique experience that I'm going to tell you right off the bat. This is not something I'm going to do again.
Mm,
But um, I noticed
Real
on
quick.
Whatnot that there's a lot of like Labubu craze going on. Have you heard of those things? Labubus?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
have. I
so
have, right?
I'm like watching my wife as she's watching like these guys on Whatnot auctioning off these Labubus, and they're going from between 60 to like $400 for like one of these
What?
stupid dolls. One like this.
You got one.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, that's crazy.
Hmm.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a buddy of mine was talking to me earlier today
Mm-hmm.
and offered me a new point of view on the
Okay.
situation. So let me tell you what I did. I went online and I ordered $600 worth of Labubus from China.
Okay.
Not authentic,
Oh,
okay? And
okay.
I'm like, well, if I can get them for a certain price point, then I can still sell them for literally a tenth of what these other guys are selling them for, and they look
Okay.
exactly the same. So
Ah,
I go to the Denver Card Show and I set up a little sign that says Labubus not authentic,
Okay.
$15, right?
okay.
So they
And
know they're getting a bootleg essentially.
yeah, they look
Yeah, yeah,
exactly
yeah.
the
You have
same.
to put it. Yeah, you have to put it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like literally like 30 minutes into the show, I'm getting complaints from like different people. And then and then
Really?
and then they told John Scanlon, the guy that runs Denver Card Show, and he's like, dude, look, I don't care if you sell these things. As long as you're telling people that they're not authentic. I'm like, look, there's a sign right there. Not
Right.
authentic. I ended up selling like 75% of them.
Wow.
And so
That's
I was
insane.
like, I want to let you guys know that's a thing. But at the same time, I'm not going
Right.
to go get more of them because a buddy of mine was talking to me earlier today and he's like, hey, I agree with what you're saying in your video about how it's annoying, blah, blah, that other people, but he's like, what if somebody set up a table right next to yours and they were selling fake Pokemon cards? And I
Oh, yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
was like,
I get it. Yeah, yeah.
oh fuck, okay.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want excuse my French, but that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
We had
Mm,
Because
at one of the
I kind of took them like a joke product. I didn't really
yeah.
take them seriously because I
right.
remember we had like the trolls in like the late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
trolls with
Yeah.
all the different hair.
Yeah, the hair. Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, anyways, that's my story for the week on that one.
I
That's
don't
funny,
know.
man.
I'm kind of torn on that one. I mean, I get it, but as long as you announce that this is not authentic and you had the sign,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Agreed.
and the only reason
Agreed.
why I say that is because so there's, and I'm not going to say his name, not while we're recording anyway, but you guys will probably know him. He's a guy that comes to the shows too, and I'm really cool with him. And he sells a lot of jerseys, right?
Okay.
And he'll sell whatever, any jersey you want, Kobe, Jordan, right? Just whoever. for whatever sport, right? You selling a lot of Deion Sanders jerseys, just the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
And he's selling these jerseys for like 40 bucks a pop,
Okay.
but they're also from China and they're not authentic. They're not authentic Nike, Reebok, Champ, none of that.
Right. Right.
But he's like, no, he's letting you know that hey, this jersey is not, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
official
Right.
licensed.
And that's
Right.
the funny thing is like if you ever
But
go to
people buy
different,
those jerseys from him all the time.
yeah. I was watching this video of this guy that went to Taiwan and they
Hmm.
have like these gigantic outdoor markets. And
Mhm.
the reason I thought about this is because you brought up the Jersey thing. There's this married couple that has this huge stall, outside stall, and they're all covered in case it rains because it rains in Taiwan a lot apparently. And
Okay.
they got like every jersey you can think of, and the guy's buying them for like 20 bucks each, and he's like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm just like, those countries just thrive off of every time we make something over here, just like recreating it and
Yeah, they
selling it
replicate
to
it.
us,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
crazy, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on that whole thing too. Um, it the example that you put, that you said, like, hey, what if someone started selling fake Pokemon cards in the
Yeah,
stall next to you?
right.
And we've had a couple of people at different shows, that have sold a couple of cards that weren't
Legit.
real,
Yeah, yeah.
and I tell people, I was like, did they tell you they weren't real? And I've had mixed reactions. Some people say, no, I didn't know that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and then other people are like, oh no, yeah, they told me like 100%, these are like custom cards, whatever you want to
Yeah, yeah.
call it,
Custom cards is the yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, cool, because yeah, I think if you're misrepresenting the product and saying, oh yeah, these are real, and trying to
Yeah.
get real price, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying, and selling it, that's just bad
That's a good,
juju.
yeah,
That's a no. But like
yeah,
you said,
for
if
sure.
you did exactly like you did, you have a sign out and it
Yeah.
says, hey, these are not authentic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just replicas, custom, whatever
Right.
wording you want to use, and that's big enough for everybody to see. And as you're
Yeah.
pulling that little boo boo off the shelf, and you're going, "This is not authentic."
I did do
Here you
that every
go.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Then I don't see the issue in that,
Yeah,
because
even
now the buyer already knows, hey, it's not real. You know what I'm saying? It's not authentic.
yeah.
They're doing that with that knowledge already there.
Because I was
Not your.
like, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're
My
good.
thought process behind it was like parents who have younger people in the family are not
There
going
you
to want to
go.
pay 60 to 100 or $400
Right.
for the Labubu
Yep.
when they have an option to just buy them for 15 bucks
Yep.
and the kids will never know the difference. Like they're
Hundred
exactly,
percent.
you know. And so that was my thought process. My buddy gave me another thought process. I don't know that I feel guilty about it, but I
Right.
will say that I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know what I
I will
mean?
say, I will say this. So I guess I do have. So there was a time when, so you guys know who Pat Tillman is,
Yeah.
right? So there was a Pat Tillman downtown, and that card easily goes for $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Give or take 150 bucks either direction. And I had a Pat Tillman that I bought off of eBay, but it was a replica. It wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew it was a replica. And the guy was even when I because he had it at an auction, I ended up spending like 30 bucks on it or something.
Right.
And when it got up to, because I just wanted one, and when he said, this is a replica, right? Because he's like, just don't, because I jumped the price from like whatever 15 bucks, and I just like doubled it to 30 just so I could scoop it up real quick. He's like,
Right.
this is a replica, right? And I said, yeah. And then I thought about it, selling it, and I told my buddy, I said, I could probably sell this, and say there's a replica like this guy did. I said, because a lot of people like this card, and just to have it, just like how I just
Yeah.
wanted it.
Yeah.
And he says to me the same thing. He's like, well, I said the same that you were saying. I was like, well, I have, I can put a sign on it and let them know, like, hey, this is not a legit whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, Pat Tillman. And he said something. He goes, even then, you don't want to do it. And he goes, this is why. He says, in the hobby, reputation is everything.
I was just about to bring that point up
So
Yeah.
when
I said,
Roger was
so
talking.
I,
I was
so I
just
never
about to
sold
bring
it.
that up.
I
I was
never
just
sold
about
it.
to
I
bring that up.
still got it, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll put it in my case, but I won't sell it just for
Mm.
just so eyes are on it. And they'll say, "Is that a real?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no."
Yeah.
Here's the
So I'll do that,
problem.
but for reputation purposes,
Yeah.
if you were just a street vendor just selling it on the side, like to all the tourists that come to town, something like that, you know what I mean? Do what you got to do. But because you have face and you're always at shows and people know you, just
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
all of us, right?
Yeah.
We have a reputation. Even if you put the sign out,
Damn it, Mark.
in the back of their mind, somebody's going to say, you know what? Even though he had the sign, does he always put the sign out?
Oh, got you.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
See.
and
Oh, this is
sometimes he's
that's another
selling
video.
bogus
That's another
shit.
video.
Yeah. So
You know what's
from a salesman hustling type of point of view, I get it, but from the business legitimate type of
yeah.
thing that I'm doing,
If you want longevity, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? If
yeah.
you
right,
if this is, because Rogers mentioned this, time and time again, this is not like, hey, I'm doing this just for the next 3 months. This is a
right,
long-term goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, your reputation is going to play a vital role in this
Yeah.
yeah,
whole thing,
You know what? You know what cracks me up, and somebody mentioned this to me also at the show, is
Mm.
that the guy that originally complained
Mm-hmm.
took those and he knew that they looked real and tried to resell them to somebody else.
Oh,
exactly.
geez.
I'm
And
sure.
then that's where the problem came in, right?
Right.
Right.
And so he's like, "Oh, I didn't know. I got them from such and such."
Yep.
Exactly.
And then
He
I
read
was
the
like,
sign.
"Oh,
He's gonna
I
act
never
dumb.
even thought of some dumbass trying to do that.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
never
that's
even thought of
possible.
that, dude." So,
Right.
That's possible. I
oh
mean, and that's
well.
just like, sometimes at these shows when I'm setting up, and I have everything priced, everything's price stickered. It's unfortunate, but I'll have some vendors walk up and try to buy, like, a good chunk of my inventory just to turn around and resell it to
Yeah.
make a buck,
Oh yeah.
you know, and I've had to turn vendors down so many times, and it's just it just gets, because you know what, again, I've mentioned it before, like, I'm just not that guy. I'm all about, like, the community. I love ripping packs. I love watching these kids, complete sets, the whole 9 yards. I
Right.
dig that part of it, you know. So, of course, my prices reflect that. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, let me charge X, Y, and Z, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and I don't. I try to stay very, very, around MSRP within a few dollars, $5 or $10. Even like when Prismatic came out, and the ETBs were going for like $200, 175 for a regular one, not even Pokemon Center.
Yeah.
But at one of the shows I was doing in Oklahoma,
I
the one
remember.
we had done, the guy walked up and he saw, and that was the
He's
biggest
like,
one, because
"I'll
I
take
had bought
all
him
of
at
them."
70. He wanted to buy them all.
Yeah.
And I bought mine at $70. That's how much they cost me with everything all said and done, between the tax and the shipping and everything. And I had priced them, for me, it was very high. And mine, I had them at $100. But that was the cheapest one
At the
out
show.
of every show. The next guy across from me was 150. The other guy was 175. And I was just like, so the kid came up and he was like, $100. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm feeling pretty bad because I'm charging that's the most I've ever charged over, like,
Yeah.
MSRP. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's almost like a 50% over MSRP. So I was just like, and I feel bad about it, but everybody's like, damn, that's a really good price. So I'm like, cool. But vendors, I got to turn them away because they'll come up, and
Yeah.
they'll try to buy all my stuff. And then again, I hit them with the tax, and they're like, what, tax? And I'm like, yeah, bro, tax. And I was like, you don't see the barcodes.
That's
I'm like,
crazy. That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
The
legit,
barcodes are
legit,
so cool.
Awesome, dude.
No, it's at a lot of the shows when I set up shows, because we're all there an
Yeah.
hour before it opens to the
Oh yeah,
public.
for sure.
And a lot of vendors they do that. And I see, there's a couple guys that guaranteed do that. They see what they can buy
Oh
um
yeah.
before the show even,
Yes, sir.
before the show even
Opens
starts.
up.
And
Yeah.
sometimes guys kind of walk around too just because they want to get a gauge of
Mm-hmm.
what the competition is.
What their prices should be. Yep.
Right, that kind of thing. So I mean that's kind of part of the game, but I think for my shows, what I also notice is, so like I have this show coming up. It's one week before nationals.
Okay.
And so that was kind of my niche before, where like before there was a big show, be it in Dallas or be it in, God, I got a fly in here. Before before it's in, before it's like a Dallas show or the Nationals or something,
Yeah.
I'll throw my show like a week before that. So these guys will buy stuff here, and then they'll go to the Nationals. You know what I mean?
Ah,
With the product. So
that's actually pretty smart. That's actually pretty
that,
smart right
so that's kind
beforehand.
of
Yeah.
that's kind of we kind of all do, like even when I've gone to bigger shows, I buy, like when I go to the Dallas show, I'll
Hmm.
buy Bronco stuff because nobody out there gives a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get Bronco stuff out there cheaper from their vendors, and then I come here and I can sell it for more because again, it's always supply and demand in some way,
Oh
shape, or
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, don't go to Dallas if you want to get cowboy cards. Go to Oklahoma or
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota or
Oh, that's true. I should. When I went to the Dallas show, but I will say when I went to the Dallas show, the selection and variety of Dallas, because I'm usually vintage Dallas.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can actually find the players that I want. I can get a
Ah, yeah,
I
yeah,
can get a
yeah, yeah.
Herschel Walker. I can get that. Whereas here, it's hard to find that at a Denver show.
I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been down there in quite a while, but I hear there's like at least 20, 25 card stores in Dallas area alone.
Oh wow,
There,
yeah, yeah.
there
Dallas is
might
huge,
be.
man. Dallas is huge.
I
Yeah.
know that Dallas Card Show is a 4-dayer, and there's probably 800 tables.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
But
It's
it's
insane.
crazy. Like
It's insane.
it's crazy.
The hobby
Yeah,
in Texas
the
is
same
crazy.
time frame that your show is going, Mark. I'm going to be up in Omaha, Nebraska,
I heard there's a
and
3-day
count the
show out
bless.
there.
Yeah, so it's gas card shows, and I think he's touting it's 500 tables. You
Wow.
know, and I think I got two of the tables early bird special, and I think I paid like 280, $240.
For
You know
how
what I'm
many
saying? Like
people?
six, two 8 foots,
Okay. Okay.
two
Yeah,
8 foots.
he
And
does big tables. Yeah.
I paid like 240, 260, 280, something like that. But like 6 months ago, I just buy all the shows out and just
Right.
so I can have it. And then if I need to adjust, I just call them up and be like, hey, I need
I'm gonna
to
have to
change
edit
it.
that part out, Angel, so no one buys all the tables when
I
I
know, right? Ahead of
You're,
time.
you're giving the trade secrets away.
Yeah, no, right? Oh my God. Well, I mean, for me, it's easier for me to plan from a business perspective,
yeah.
Sure.
quarter by quarter, several quarters out and
Yeah.
get it all paid for so I don't have to really worry about it. And then as things get closer, adjust fire if we need to. Like, there's one show that I have that I think is going to be out in St. Louis that most likely I'm going to have to miss, so I know that I'll just get that money refunded and put it towards a different show.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
yeah,
I'm in the wrong state. I need to move like either one or two states to the right or one or two states to the left.
I don't. You know what, Colorado? In the past 5 years, because like I said, I really started getting going to shows in like
mm-hmm,
2021. Um, I don't know. Colorado's really grown. Like, look, I remember going to. Okay, so John Scanlon, right?
mm-hmm.
I was when I first started going to his shows. He was like in Broomfield, and he was struggling and hustling to sell 90 tables. So it's still a decent.
Wow, yeah,
It was like 80 or 90 tables. And now look, he's selling, 300, 275 with a wait list.
Yeah.
that's insane. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, definitely the popularity seems to have spiked.
So yeah, the popularity for sure. And the popularity with the Pokemon thing, like I actually my in-laws are actually in Japan right now on
Oh,
vacation. And so I told him, I said, you know what? Pick up a couple boxes for me.
yeah, yeah.
Just the
So
singles. You don't
just
want the boxes. Get the singles.
well,
And see, that's another thing I go back and forth with. You know what I'm
okay,
saying? Is because it's much more difficult now for me to obtain product.
right.
Right before I used to get product like no worries. Like you walk in anywhere, any GameStop, and just be like, oh yeah, give me 5 boxes of that, 3 boxes of that, and just walk out and be able to come back home and rip everything and then sell singles, you know, after I've completed a master set, sell as much as I need to. But now it's so difficult that I've had to switch focus and be
Mhm.
like, well, now I'm selling seal products more so than I am singles
Right.
because I just don't have the availability to rip product.
Right.
and sell the singles at that point, you know.
If
And I
you
think me
think
and
I don't
Roger, we
know anything
discussed
about
this.
Pokemon, if you think I don't know anything about Pokemon, my in-laws sure as shit ain't gonna be buying those shit in Japan. So
See,
I'm gonna have to go ahead and just get 2 or 3 boxes from Japan.
my
Hey,
wife, my wife's, she wants to go to, Ireland and Paris and London, and I'm like,
oh
I
yeah.
just want to go to Japan. You can go wherever you want to go. I'm going to Japan
He's like,
Right.
we'll take
because,
separate trips.
you know, it's just funny to me because I know if I just sold everything I own,
Yeah,
moved over to Japan, bought a nice house for like 80,000,
right.
all I'd have to do is walk
Excuse me.
down the street from where I live and hit up like they must have 50 to 100 card stores in
Oh
like
yeah.
3 cities.
Yeah, it's gotta be crazy. Yeah,
All
it's
I'd
gotta be
have to
crazy.
do is go in there and just point and start buying.
He says,
And then
can't even speak the language. Give me that. Give me that.
just send them over here,
Yeah,
fly back, go to a couple card store shows, sell them all,
right.
and then just fly back over and go home and chill for like 3 months on,
Yeah, no,
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. If I could find someone like that, you know what I'm saying, that's trustworthy enough to like do that kind of thing with, you know, I've it would be it would be interesting to get a contact in Japan that's willing to get you basically wholesale prices and ship
Man,
to you at bulk over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then to use that and, you know, and either sell locally to the shops, or, you know, rip them, you know, online or whatever, you know, and
Right
see
now,
where you're at.
right now, I think that's viable, but who knows in 6 months,
Yeah. And see, that's
you
the
know,
thing,
that's
you
true
yeah,
know,
too.
because you can get a distributor from some guy that lives in Japan in a week just by scouring Instagram.
yeah, yeah, you could.
But the one thing you got to remember is you can only ship less than $800 at a time
All right.
because of the tariff thing.
Yeah.
Anytime you go over $800, you got to worry that they're going to fine you some huge amount.
Yep.
And then
Wow.
also on top of that, it's just super expensive to ship it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I
you
mean,
got to
yeah, the
ship,
cost basis has to be there. You know,
yeah,
when you run your numbers, you know, based off of what you're getting from them at, you know, what price and then what you could potentially get here for it. Yeah, it's all a gamble, you know, and it's not like it's going to show up here the next day. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So everything takes time, the shipping, you know, like you mentioned and everything.
And it doesn't
And
move. It doesn't move fast enough. Let me tell you that much right
yeah,
now.
see,
Because I in January or February, I literally
hmm,
ordered hundreds of boxes of Japanese Pokemon,
oh wow,
and I'm still trying to sell some of it.
Hundreds of
wow,
boxes?
Literally, like these shelves behind me were just all Japanese booster boxes. Like you can see a few
Wow.
up there still, but
Wow.
wow.
it
Well,
doesn't
I
move
figured
that
since they're on
quickly.
vacation anyway, I don't have to worry about shipping or none of that.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're
They're just
talking
bringing it
about
back
picking
with
up
them.
we're talking about picking up 2 or 3 boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt,
yeah,
no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. That's cool.
I probably will rip them online on my YouTube channel. I'll probably
I'm
There
rip
you
them,
super
go.
jealous. Yeah,
and then
I know,
I'll
right?
give you guys a call and say what you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
it's a situation where I'm gonna be like, sheesh.
Just because it looks shiny. Oh my God, look at
Oh
this
my God,
They
$2
look at
do
this.
card.
look good.
Because I won't know what any of this is. So I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Oh
that
no.
card looks
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that's definitely it. Well,
Somebody,
and that was one of my like you know, I was a little apprehensive at first, you know, dealing with the Japanese cards because I was like, man, unless I'm getting them where it's brand new and they're sealed, I really don't know what I'm looking at. You know,
yeah,
I couldn't tell if it's a fake or not. You know, I mean, some of these fakes, even now in English, are so good that you're
Yeah.
like looking at it and you're like, oh, yeah, that's a good card. And then come to find out that it's not. So you can only imagine, you know, when it's in a different language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know that it's difficult. It's just time consuming to
it
learn that
is.
stuff.
It
Mhm.
is. It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Well, and you have to have a genuine, I mean, I think you have to have a genuine interest in whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's why, like
Oh
with the
yeah,
sports cards, I primarily it's NFL football first, then basketball, because I
right,
genuinely follow that on my own. Like
right,
fantasy football, like a commissioner league, like I'm
right.
all interested in it. And so, I might like again, I might pick up some baseball here and there, some singles here and there, but it's always the mainstream guys,
Hmm.
right?
Mm.
That you know is going to move. Um,
Kalen Clark.
yeah,
Mhm.
like who you know is going to move. But
Yeah.
it's harder to learn. Like for Pokemon, it'd be harder for me to learn because I'm not that interested in it.
Yeah,
I got you. I
I,
got
you
you.
know what I mean?
100%.
Like I almost have to force myself to, like I'm curious about some of this stuff. Don't know
Yeah,
the mainstream, like whatever Pikachu, Charizard, like
yeah.
I that. But
Just like
everybody
me,
knows
I know all the big names.
exactly. But for me to really get in there, it's not only time consuming, but I think it's even a little bit more difficult if I'm not really into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
100%,
we're like, hey,
100%.
hey guys, let's start selling hockey. Like if we're not really
It's
into hockey,
100%. You got to definitely enjoy what you're doing, or you're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
there's no point to it, man.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, unless it's really, truly, truly a business thing, and I guess if your mind can switch into that, because a lot of people go to work and don't like their jobs.
Yeah.
So, but then you're just forcing it on yourself, like, oh, I'm going to learn all this, I'm going to learn all this magic stuff and all this whatever else.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I
magic's
was
big
looking
too,
at a
but
box
I'm
of
like,
magic today and I was just like, what am I looking at? And this
yeah,
was like and the chick was like, yeah, it's like $105. And I was like, damn,
yeah,
and
That's cheap.
inside that new Final Fantasy magic thing. And it was, I think there was 9 packs inside or eight
yeah,
packs and it was $100. And I was like, damn, this is worse than a booster, like an ETB,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
but I wasn't like I couldn't figure out in my head like
right.
where I would be at price wise to sell it. She
So
was
what?
like, "You want to buy one?" And I'm like, "I don't know if the product that's inside is worth that dollar amount. Is that
Yeah.
like normal for Magic? Like
Yeah. If
Yeah,
you
it's
don't know, you
essentially an
don't know.
ETB. Exactly. I
Right.
don't know. It had a
right.
dice inside, and I was like, okay, cool. Like okay, and
Yeah,
like one or two other little things, and I was just like, I think it was called a gift bundle, I think. But I was just like, man, I just don't know the product,
Yeah.
and for me to get into another product,
Yeah.
because it's more readily available. Again, just like Mark was saying, you got to kind of wrap your head around it and
right,
figure out all the things about it. And I have no idea about Magic. Now I
right.
know, Roger, you do, but I
Yeah.
don't. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
doing
It's just something
collabs on
I
some of that
don't.
stuff. I saw.
So
They're
have
doing,
you?
is it like Magic and Marvel? Because I saw, was it Magic? I don't know. There was
Yeah.
something where they were like,
They're
there's,
doing a lot of spin-offs now because
yeah,
Yeah.
they got the rights to do like Final Fantasy and
Yeah.
Transformers and Lord of the
yeah,
Rings.
yeah.
But the main thing you got to remember about Magic is that 90% of the Magic players are in it to play the game versus
Collecting the cards.
50% of Pokemon players are just
Oh
about
yeah.
collecting pretty pictures.
Yeah.
So
100%.
so
True.
with
Okay.
Magic, they make two different types of booster boxes, basically. You
Ah.
got the booster boxes that come for drafting to play the game. And
Mm.
drafting is where you get a group of players around, they open the packs, they choose a card, they throw it to the next person, and they keep going until they run out of packs. Those are
Oh.
called those are called play boosters.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are cheaper.
Huh.
Then they sell the booster boxes that are the collector series. And those boxes are
Ah.
extremely expensive because they got all the alternate art rares and like not
Oh,
just Cloud's Buster Sword from Final Fantasy, but it's the special Buster Sword from comes
Ah,
from
that's
a
probably what
famous
this
artist.
was then. Yeah, because it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
$100, man, 105, I think she said, or
yeah,
110, something like that.
yeah.
right.
But like I said, it only had like 8 packs inside.
So the normal play boosters that they use to draft
Yeah.
are between the cheapest I've ever seen them is like 98 to 100
Oh shit.
to up to 150-ish. Then the collector's boxes have less packs but more cards in a pack, and those ones go anywhere from 3 to 5 something plus.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
See, it's
Yeah, see?
fun, bro.
What's
Yeah, no,
that?
right?
Yeah. And they're extremely hard to get. Like the collector's boxes
Yeah.
are the ones people will scalp the crap out of because
Just
they are extremely expensive.
it doesn't say collector's box though, right? It just that's what the type of box you're talking to, you're referring to, right?
It'll say something along the lines of collector something or other, and
Oh.
the other one just says booster box or player
Ah,
boosters.
gotcha, gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay.
And they look different too.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
for the first 20 years of Magic, all the booster boxes were exactly the same size.
Hmm.
But they realized, well, if we keep doing this, and you could be a completionist back then. Like you could complete sets.
Right.
But
Right.
now they do like 500-600 card sets with four different variants of each card.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. The variance game across cards, period, is that really wasn't a thing before. Like even with comics, like I buy comics now,
Yep.
it
Oh yeah.
it
The
could be the same
covers. Yeah, the
issue, and there
variant
could be five
covers.
different
Yeah.
covers for the
Yeah.
same issue.
Yeah.
So
Buying them in middle school, it was like if this was whatever Iron Man 248, it was Iron Man 248. Like there was
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
no different
100%.
cover.
Yeah.
So as a brick and mortar with comic books, and this was introduced probably in the early 2000s mainly, is you have a quota you have to meet every month when ordering comic books. And the
Hmm.
minimum quota is usually like $400 if you want any kind of discount.
Right.
Then every time, let's say, just spur example, Superman 100 comes out. If you want an alternate art
Mhm.
Superman 100, well, you got to buy the first 50 copies of Superman 100 that are normal. And then you have the option after
Oh.
you buy the first 50 copies to buy the alternate art, which costs you an additional 10 or 20 bucks. And then you can get,
Oh.
so
Wow.
that's the way it is with comics. So when
Hmm.
you see somebody that has like an entire wall of alternate art comic books, is because they bought hundreds of copies of the first release, the normal Superman 100, to get that alternate art one.
Oh,
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Interesting.
me either.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how
See,
comic books.
learning has occurred today. Learning has occurred. You
It's
know what
a
I'm saying? That's
it's a
good. It's
menace.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Even when
Yeah.
you have a distributor for Pokemon,
Hmm.
to get the good stuff, you got to buy the crap first.
Wow.
Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume so. I don't have any distributors or wholesalers, so but
Yeah.
I've heard that comment multiple times
Right.
that, hey, yeah, I gotta buy all this crap just to, just to get X, Y, and Z when it
Yeah.
comes out, but I buy this crap and it sits there on my shelf. So I mean you're losing money, and it's
It's
taking up
definitely
space.
stagnant money for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely money on the shelf. Well, that's when you take that product to a show
Yeah.
yeah.
and just start moving that, you
As
know.
long as it has packs in it of some kind of Pokemon product,
Yeah.
it's the products that don't have packs in them, like the ones that they set up for kids that have like a deck involved in some.
Oh, them the little
Yeah,
battle decks. Oh
anything like
God.
that is just never going to move for you. But
Oh
as
yeah.
long as it has some kind of packs in it, they're going to go up in value just very, very slowly, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
100%.
to just sit in your closet for a couple of years and then bring it out.
Yeah, right. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to at that point.
Yeah. Well, anything else, guys? Like anything new going on?
I mean, look, not right now probably, but yes, right now. Just only for the fact of we're all in the hobby, so we could probably talk for hours.
We
Oh
could.
yeah. This is how it works. Yeah,
But
for
Yeah.
sure.
but uh but for the sake of dinner,
Yeah, exactly. I'm always talking about eating. I put that in one of my videos.
man,
Roger has videos on everything. On
No,
I'm
everything.
telling
just
you,
I
It's
made a
good. It's
there,
joke.
good. It's
there's
good.
2 or 3 channels in you. I'm telling you now, there's 2 or 3 YouTube channels in you
I
for
put a
sure.
comment on there that the next time somebody asks me are you looking for anything specific? And I tell them older Watsy hollows, and they show me a binder full of rainbow trainers and baby shinies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell them to bring snacks.
Bring snacks.
Yeah, they got to bring snacks, or I'm not gonna look.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's the way to
Yeah,
do
That
it.
is the way to
You know what
do
I'm
it.
saying?
because it's like a 10-hour shift.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't get to go nowhere, and you're hungry.
That's
So you
true.
got. You want me to look at your crappy Pokemon cards? I need food.
Yeah,
I need a
yeah,
bag of Fritos or something, man.
Yeah, man.
yeah.
A
I'm
hundred
gonna remember
percent.
that
All right, pal.
100%.
I love talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
for
Of
sure.
course, man. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Let me
definitely a good
know
time
when you
all the
got it up.
time.